All right, so I hope you found that keywords, and keywords is a key section, a great tool. But now we need to talk about building ads. And, I think time and time again, Mike, and correct me if I'm wrong, we see clients who have decided that they have some ability to understand what's going on in their customer's head and write their own ads. And then we look at the competitors, and it's almost off the other scale of an earthquake. It's like, what were you thinking? Look at your competitors, and why is this?
Well, I think there's two sides to that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people look at the competitors and copy it exactly, which is the wrong thing to do.
Of course. Yeah,
and there's no differentiation. And sometimes their ads that they write have no relevance to what they really want to sell. They're just trying to get attention. And Google, by the way, is cracking down on that. They want ads that are relevant to the search term and to the landing page. So the way I like to do it, I actually like the customers to decide what's the best ad. What we do is we do split testing, where we have multiple ads running at the same time. And the ones that have the largest or the biggest click-through rate, meaning that they clicked on the most, actually rise to the top. So what we do on a regular basis, we have 2 or 3 ads running at the same time. And the lower ones, the ones that get the worst results, the poorest click-through rates, we after a month or two, we cut that one out. We pause that campaign and replace that with something else. So then we see the next 3 ads, next combination of 3 ads, how they're doing. So we always have a bottom ad that's not performing well, and then we go in every 6 weeks perhaps, or it might be longer depending on the type of client and the spend, and we take the bottom performing ads out of a group of 3 or 4, and we pause that ad, change it, put it in a new ad, and then that gives us an indication what works the best. Google cares about one thing. Aside from having a good product, they care about making profits. So click-through rate, meaning how often your ad is clicked on based on how many people actually see it, is really all that Google cares about, aside from having a good product. So if people actually click on your ad and go to your website, you got a shot at getting their attention and making a sale or going on to the next step of your sales process. So we let Google decide by doing split testing. You have to make the ad relevant. So there's only so many characters that are involved in the ad itself, but we're going to go through some specific techniques on ad building in the session that follows here.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I think another piece here is, when I think of ads and I think of building ad strategies, and again, this is, what do we got, 2 lines worth of material? I mean, this is all you can write. You can write, hey, divorce attorney, New Jersey, best rates in town, or whatever it may be. But there's only so much you can do to convert somebody on the site of an ad. Mm-hmm. And I think what we're finding is that it's not necessarily writing the ad, it's what you had mentioned before, which is multiple testing. And unless you're testing your ads, you're really losing the ability to optimize any campaign.
Well, that's the most important thing. You have to test everything. I'll give you an example. I'm running some ads for a client of mine, and I actually have multiple phone numbers inside the ad, replacing all the text itself. Ironically enough, you would think that doesn't work, but it's working better than any other ads we were using, because the numbers are local phone numbers. Instead of having, while all the competition is using 888 and 800 numbers, I have multiple phone numbers in the ad, in the display ad, with local phone numbers. It's getting phenomenal click-through rate, and it's doing better. So all I'm saying is that you might be thinking that I need to create a keyword, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just the perception of, hey, I'm local. The other guys are not. Look at me. I have offices that are right here.
And that again, it's just client specific. I mean, if you're a small business that's local and operating, but then if you're a national business, it may be a whole different set of parameters. Well, let's take this into the session and get on the computer and show how to build ads here, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, so we discussed, basically the structure of the AdWords campaign, and we talked about the keywords, and now I think in the next section we're going to talk about putting up the ad structure and copy.
Great. Let's start talking about that as well. It's going to flow with the same pattern. Remember before we talked about setting up the campaigns, and you wanted your campaigns, which is similar services or products, and you broke them down into little buckets. We call the buckets ad groups, and you fill up these buckets with keywords. Well, now we're at the ads. Well, guess what? The keywords have to relate to the ads. So if we go into this client's campaign right over here, and we take a look at each one of these ad groups, each one of these has a bucket of keywords. And if we take a look at the ads that pertain to them, well, the name of this ad group is called driveways. So in each of the ads that relate to driveways, we have the word driveway. It doesn't get any more complicated than that. So let's go back one and take a look at another paving contractor. So if we click on the ads that are part of that ad group, paving. Normally we have different ads. In this particular campaign, in this particular account, I only have one ad running. That's because we found out the ads that run the best and had the best click-throughs and best response, and we currently cut out the other ones. But we normally have 3 or 4 different versions of the ads running to see which one gets the best click-through rate or the best conversions. It's just that in this particular campaign, we don't have that. So when you're building a campaign, when you're building an ad, this is the process. Take a look at your keywords, and this one happens to be for a paving contractor. So, and all the keywords are for paving. So we're going to create an ad. So we create an ad, and we need to talk about paving. And I like to usually have something about the region that we're in. But you could just write local paving pros and exactly what you do, and then what you work with, and a link to your site. Now, normally what happens is I save the ad, and I create 3 or 4 ads that are similar, just mixing up the words, and you let them all run. What Google's system is going to do is it will run all these ads, and it'll give you an indication of which ads get the most click-through rates. See, in this particular instance, this one ran for a month and had a click-through rate of 4.6%. So that means that out of every 100 times that it shows, 4.5%, 5% of the time, someone actually clicks on the ad.
What do you think makes a good ad? You and I discussed this back and forth about what's a call to action that creates someone to click through. Because a click-through rate, we like to see between 1% and 5% for click-through rates. Obviously 5 being optimum, or even better.
Well, it's really going to depend on your industry. Sometimes it's even higher than 5%. I could show you other clients' accounts of mine that are closer to 10%, and some barely scratch 3 or 2%. It really depends on the industry. But I can tell you what's most important is if I'm doing a search on Google, I want the answer to my question. I'm looking for a paving contractor, so the ad has to say paving contractor, and if it has something that makes sense to me, like a local phone number, or it says the area that I'm located in, or it says something about paving that I'm responding back to, that I'm questioning, then it's more pertinent that I'm going to click on it. So it's a fantastic point. Let's just do it. So if I'm looking to have my driveway paved, and I'm looking for driveway, I'm spelling it wrong, driveway paving. So if I type in driveway paving, well, here, I have three different guys that come up. Let's talk about them. One has a local phone number, so I like that right away. I know he's local, because sometimes I don't know. Driveway Paving Pros, this one says Long Island, so I know I'm in Long Island, so I know that one's good as well. And King, he actually has a map of where he is. This could be good and bad. If I think that's too far away from me, whatever town that's in, Hicksville, if I think that's too far away from me, I might not call him. So that can go either way. But they all have something that relates back to what I'm typing in. I'm looking for driveway paving contractor. So if the keyword was paving costs, well, what I want to find out is here, this one over here. This is not an ad. This is the actual result. How much is paving driveway cost? Well, I'm going to click on this one because that's giving me my question. So you want to put the keywords. Remember we went over here? get the keywords to relate to the ads. So if the keyword is costs, I want an ad that talks about costs. It's that simple. If the keyword is something about masonry, well, then I want the ad to say something about masonry, and it's not any more complicated than that. I mean, there's going to be techniques that that we can use to write compelling copy, and those usually include local things like a phone number and local areas, and then some assurance features. When people are looking online and they look at a website, they only care about three things. They care about if I pick on a website. So if I pick on any website over here, I just picked on one. When I take a look at the website as a consumer, I care about three things. Can I trust this guy? Can I afford it? And how much is it? No, can I trust this guy? Can I afford it? And is going to solve my problem? So I'm looking at this, and well, yeah, I need a walkway. Great, it looks like he can solve my problem. Can I trust him? I'm looking for trust factors on here. Usually BBB, or I'm looking for testimonials. And can I afford him? It doesn't say anything about costs, so I'm going to have to call him, which is okay usually because this is a service industry and costs can be all over the map, but I'd like to address them in some way. So going back to what your question is, how do we make the ads more compelling and drive a higher click-through rate? Simple. Make them relate to the keywords. If I'm typing in, I'm looking for cost, then your ad has to say, these are the costs. It's that simple.
All right, so let's. I understand that, and I think anybody listening to this could write it. But I think the other question is, let's look at it from a national standpoint. So let's say we're an e-commerce company, and we're trying to put our product on the market. Let's just take I don't know, boat parts. So let's just see what the conversion tactics are for the AdWords in a national campaign. Although I think it will probably relate back to local as well. You probably see a mix of local and national in there.
All right, let's try that. So I'm looking for marine parts, Sierra. I actually happen to part source. Okay, so I was, and Google's autocomplete. So I typed in marine part suppliers and parts accessories. These all relate back to exactly what I'm looking for. Marine part suppliers, right over here. What might be of help in your ads if I'm looking for a specific part. So if I'm putting in, I'm looking for. Okay, here. I typed in marine parts, Sierra. Sierra is a manufacturer of marine parts. So the ad responds back with buy Sierra marine parts and find them at Go to Marine, Sierra Parts Marine. So that's getting back to what I was saying before. I know that Sierra happens to be a maker of marine parts. I typed in, I'm looking for Sierra parts. The ads are coming back and saying, hey, you're looking for Sierra parts? We got them. Buy them at Go to Marine. And that's going to enhance the click-through rate of this ad over ads that don't have that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because it seems like that person put some thought into, okay, what are you trying to do? Well, they're trying to buy Sierra marine parts. And a lot of the other ads just don't even come up, like the one that's on the fourth there. It says Sierra marine parts info on Sierra marine parts. Search Sierra. So I think that there's some call to action things you can just see from basic ad structure here, which are, put in low prices, put in great deals, put in buy, the things that you'd think would make sense. But I think a lot of people omit that when they write good ad copy.
Well, act like the consumer yourself. So when you're putting in the ad copy, I'm looking for marine parts and they happen to be Sierra. Great. Let's take a look at the competition. And by the way, what happens here is one really cool thing that you can do is that the tools that we discussed before, we can take a look at all our competition's ads in one shot. If we go here and let it do its search.
You might have to logged
Yeah, we're
in
gonna
at
have
this
to log
point.
in for that.
All right, let's just take a look behind the curtain here, right?
Okay, so one of the things it's gonna tell us is you can't always judge the spend levels because they're all over the map and not accurate. But it's going to give me the keywords that this particular website is showing for. This particular URL is showing for on Google, and it's also going to show me all the ads that are running. So in this particular case, they got 110 ads, and we can take a look at all these ads. So here, buy Rule Mate bilge pump. So it's going to give you an indication of all the ads that they're running and the related keywords. Remember I said before that when you structure an ad, you want it to relate back to the keyword. Now there are going to be tools in Google that are actually going to auto populate that keyword back. So it's going to be like an autocomplete or dynamic. It's actually called dynamic keyword insertion, where Google can write the ad that instantly. So if I'm looking for Sierra part, the ad is instantly going to say, "Oh, looking for Sierra part," and that's going to help your click through rate. But beyond that, let's take a look over here. What's helping me click on this ad over somebody else's? Number one, the stars. Well, different color gets my attention. I see 4 stars. And reviews. Remember I said before that people care about 3 things. Can I trust you? Can I afford you? And you're going to solve my problem? Well, if I got 400 reviews, I'm assuming that they're probably going to be good, and I want to see them, so I'm going to have a higher trust factor to you.
Where are those
But
reviews coming from?
well, in this an e-com site, what happens is this: they can have either an onboard platform for capturing reviews, or Google can do it too through Google Places accounts, or if they have a Google checkout. What happens is if people that have Google checkouts for ecom, we can capture reviews, and that's a great way of feeling the pulse of your consumer. So here, you can tell that these reviews are on. They're untouched here. I got a 5 out of 5, but I also got a 1 out of 5, which is the kind of stuff I'm going to see. Most people that have a good experience aren't even going to bother saying they do it, but you have one guy that has a bad experience, he's going to write about it 10 times. That's just human nature. So that's where that comes from. Some of these guys have reviews built into their websites as well. So it's either through checkouts or through their websites. Here, this gets my attention. This ad here, up to 70% off. Remember, I care about price. Is one of the things that I want to know. So price, and then I want to know assurance. So if you're going to solve my problem, how much do you cost? And those are the ads that get my most attention. So what's important the most? Placement. I mean, I don't want to be at the bottom of the page, otherwise I'm not going to be seen. The next thing that gets my attention is reviews and stars and what I'm looking for in the search. So I'm looking for Sierra, and I say Sierra, and then anything that has to do with local, but this is a national type of campaign, so that doesn't really apply. If you're shipping to me, I don't really care where it is. And then discounts I care about. Those are things that really drive conversion rates. But the next thing is, remember this: no one knows the ad that works the best. What all good marketers do is they build multiple ads, and they have 2 or 3 or 4 different versions of the same ad, and they run them simultaneously, and they let Google do what's called split testing, and it'll run equal amount of traffic to all the ads, and then as one shows a better conversion rate, it'll drive most of the traffic to that particular ad. And this was already done in this campaign, and we were getting conversion rates of 4 to 5%. So in the beginning, you don't know which ads work the best. You just make 3 or 4 different versions of the same one. You let it run. Google will weed out the bad ones. You take the bad one. For example, let's just say this was running and I was getting a conversion rate of 4.6% on this, and this, let's just say I had 1% or less conversion rate. So I would know this ad is no good. So on a monthly basis or bi-monthly, I would go in and I would take this ad and I would change it to something different. And pros, New York or whatever. I would just change something about it, and what would happen is then you would let that ad run, and you see if it converts better. You constantly do that. The better technique might be to just take this ad and pause the ad, and then just create another ad, which is exactly what you want it to be, and that you can start fresh. That might be a better technique for some people once you get used to doing it. AdWords is you pause the ad that doesn't work, you create one that's similar to it. You just make them a modification. You let it run fresh, and then you see if that conversion rate is better than the best one. But after we did this for many months, we found that our best conversion rates with ads with this contractor was around 5%. We tried all different versions of this, and we just stuck with that. We know that this converts.
Great. So I think we went through everything here from how to write a great ad to testing, ways to test the ad now. So if we go back to your original thought process, which is if you're going to have keywords, make sure that they're in the ad groups to start, to basically block off the ad groups. And then you look at the keywords themselves and build the keyword list. And again, because there's so many derivatives of these keywords, just putting them in, I guess from a general standpoint, you're going to get a lot of traffic if you have a general keyword list.
Well, we're going to get into, we didn't even talk about match types.
Yeah,
section.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in another session.
But one of the things to talk about is sometimes you really don't need 100 different keywords, because if you put in driveway paving, then Google understands that driveway paving is the same thing as driveway construction, the same thing as replacing a driveway. So you don't really have to do that. And we'll talk about that in the next section.
Right. Good.